going for the straight sweep right here. Articuno sweep in the back. 2 solid games there from the MVP. You see that lag right there? I swear, if I got farmed down there from that lag, I would have been cheesed. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Daniel De La Torre, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are taking a look at some more open Ultra League battles, this time utilizing a very familiar team on this channel, that is the Double Ice strategy. But this time, we're kicking it back old school with the original line, which is ABB. Now, if you're new to the channel, the Double Ice strategy that I use typically consists of an Articuno lead with Giratina and Lapras in the back. However, for this video, I actually decided to lead Giratina, so running an ABB style here with 2 ice types in the back, Articuno, and once again, running the Shadow Lapras with Skull Bash, which I'm actually really enjoying and highly recommend. So the team in a nutshell is pretty straightforward. You want to use one of the ice types in the back to lure out the steel type, Registeel, Melmetal, that kind of thing. And then your only real counter for the steel type is going to be Giratina. So for that reason, it's very important to run both Shadow Claw and Shadow Sneak if you're running this specific team comp. So I was able to reach veteran rank using this team. It took about 4 sets going from the 2300s to 2500. I know veteran rank isn't that impressive at this point in the season. There are people already pushing close to legend, but once again, I recommend that everybody take this season at their own pace. For me, I've only done about 200 battles this season and I'm enjoying the pace I'm going at. I don't really have the time available to me to do as many sets as I'd like to or as I have done in past seasons, so taking it very slow. Some days I do 1 set, some days I do 5, some days I do 0. Go at your own pace. The season is 3 months long. Don't feel any rush to push for legend. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so the Double Ice strategy is back, and this time we're leading Giratina ABB style instead of the traditional ABA, and we see a Cresselia in the first matchup. So Cresselia presents a bit of a challenge here because although Giratina has a pretty decent matchup against it, the main issue is that if we lose the Giratina or get it too low against Cresselia and they end up having a steel type in the back, it's pretty much GG. So what I decided to do here is actually throw a couple of Shadow Sneaks first, then swap out into the Articuno. Hope they throw energy here. They do throw the Moonblast, and then ideally I'd like to lure out the steel type, but they do come in with Talonflame. And this is actually pretty good too because if they don't have a steel type, you're going to be in pretty good position with that Lapras in the back. So I'm going to let the Articuno go down here. Notice we are running Ancient Power, which is my preferred moveset for this specific team comp. Come back in with Giratina here. We left with energy, so I throw the Dragon Claw, and we're actually able to farm down before that Talonflame gets to another move. So that's a big break for us. We are down in shields though, and the opponent comes in with Obstagoon. So I put this battle at the front of all the rest because this is a crazy battle, and I decided to swap out into Lapras right here. So Night Slash comes through, looks like they might not be running Cross Chop, and I'm going to go for the Surf right here against the Cresselia. Now, we won't get knocked out by 1 Grass Knot, however, this presents an interesting challenge for us. So the Moonblast comes through, so we might not be running Cross Chop, and at this point I decide what I'm going to do here actually is commit the shield, farm down with Ice Shard, and look to throw back-to-back surfs at the Obstagoon, which also should allow my switch timer to come up. So then I'm going to swap out of the Lapras and best case scenario use it as a 3rd shield because Giratina can't win this match against Obstagoon with 0 shields. The only way I'm going to be able to win this is with the energy lead, which we had, a slight health advantage, which we had, and Lapras as a potential 3rd shield. So we're gonna have to try and catch a Night Slash at some points here. I'm gonna look to throw back-to-back Dragon Claws, and then it really comes down to timing on this play right here. So I'm looking to throw just before they get to it, and there is the sack. The switch timer is coming up as well, so we're actually gonna win this game by timeout with more HP. Unbelievable result right there. Super stoked. Definitely wanted to put that at the front of this video because that was a pretty crazy battle. We got Giratina into Charizard right here, and when Charizard is running Dragon Breath, actually a very poor matchup for Giratina. So what I want to do here is throw a Dragon Claw and ideally catch a Dragon Claw onto my Lapras. So the opponent, bad timing on my part there, so I do decide to shield because of course I need to keep Giratina healthy as well for the potential steel type. So throwing another Dragon Claw here, we get the shield, which is very nice, and now I swap out into Lapras, hoping I caught a Dragon Claw right here, and we did. So that's a huge break for us. Opponent swaps out into Empoleon, and although Surf is more energy efficient right here, and Skull Bash is going to be resisted as well, it does a lot of damage and it also increases our defense. So that means we can now survive Hydro Cannon, Drill Peck, whatever it is they have, and we could get to maybe another Skull Bash, but I decided to go for the 2 Surfs instead. And this is actually going to force the opponent to throw here. They do time that very well to get CMP, but since they threw Drill Peck, we know that they do not have Blizzard, so Giratina doesn't have to worry about any move here. So I'm going to commit to a complete farm down, and getting this energy is going to be very important right here. So we're pretty low on energy at this point. Opponent comes back in with the Charizard, and if they shield up, we should be able to get to 2 Dragon Claws. They let it go through though, and we're able to farm down. We have a move ready, and it happens to be a Shadow Machamp in the back. So this is actually very bad for us because Articuno does not have a good matchup against Machamp. So I'm going to go for the Icy one here. Opponent is over farming quite a bit, so they're probably at the Rock Slide. And I said at this point, my win condition's probably calling the Cross Chop bait here, so I let it go through, but it happens to be a Rock Slide. And look at this, Giratina with no HP, able to get to the Dragon Claw. This is going to be enough to take out the Machamp. Absolutely insane victory right there with the shield in hand, because we tried to call the bait, but it still worked out in our favor right there, taking that game on the bulk of Giratina. Let's hop into the next battle right here. We got Giratina into a Giratina Origin right here, and we're going to swap out into Articuno. So all 3 of these Pokemon on this team have a pretty decent matchup against Giratina, but right here, this is how the team works in a nutshell. Perfect example. I'm going to swap out, bring in the Articuno, draw out the Steel type in the back, and then because we actually bring Articuno as a safe switch here, we're able to lower the attack on the Melmetal, which is very nice because these Rock Slides aren't going to be doing anywhere near as much to Giratina, which means that there's the potential to exit this matchup with 100 energy. Because look at these Rock Slides, they're really not doing much here. And I decided to throw a Shadow Sneak here because even if we get Excellence on the Shadow Sneak, it will still put the Melmetal in a position where we could farm down and get pretty much back to 100 energy. So I think throwing there is the correct play. Unfortunately, the Melmetal does get to another move, but these aren't doing too much damage to us. You can see we're still above 40% health right here, and we are loaded on energy. Giratina Origin comes back in, so I'm going to unload 3 Dragon Claws here before they get to 1 move, and this is going to get at least 1 shield unless they want to let the Giratina go down. So they should be able to move right about now. I'm going to throw the Dragon Claw and then swap out into the Lapras, and they have a Talonflame in the back. We're up in shields as well, so the opponent doesn't want the smoke. They're going to back out of that matchup, and the ABB strategy worked to perfection that time. Next matchup right here, Giratina into a Swampert lead. So this is a pretty bait dependent match. Of course, Giratina could win this in most situations, but what I want to do here is actually swap out and catch the Earthquake onto the Articuno, but poor timing on my part once again, which is a theme in this video. So the Earthquake lands, opponent swaps onto Giratina, and this is going to work just as well for us because although we did take that Earthquake, we're now in a very dominant position against the Giratina. They're ahead by a bit in energy here, so they do land 2 Dragon Claws back to back. I'm going to throw the Icy one right here, and from this point on, I believe we could just farm down completely. We'll get hit by a Dragon Claw here, possibly even 2, but we will be able to farm down, and we didn't get hit by another one, so that's very good because that may have actually knocked us out. Lapras comes in, and this is actually very good because we have alignment now. This means that we're going to be able to have our Lapras on theirs, throwing the Ancient Power here just to get some nice chip damage off. And at this point, they're low on energy, so I'm going to come in with Lapras right here. And they're still building up a lot, so I figured they might be running Skull Bash here, so I decided to shield up. I have 2 shields anyways, and it is in fact Skull Bash. So I'm going to throw 1 Surf here, and then I imagine I'm going to swap out into Giratina, which should have energy loaded. So this could potentially get the 2nd shield here from the opponent. And I believe the opponent shields there the 2nd time because they want to get rid of this Giratina. And they probably expect me not to be running Skull Bash. So even if they're down a shield with their own Skull Bash and me not running it, they probably figure they can win the game. However, unfortunately for the opponent, Shadow Lapras is running the Skull Bash right here, and it is going to hurt. So we shield up the Surf there. It really does not matter at this point because there's a Skull Bash. That's huge damage. Taking out the Lapras right there. We take that game. Let's hop into the next one. And we're leading Giratina into a Talonflame. So we got 3 sets worth of battles here. 15 battles. The first 2 sets aren't 2 actual full battles. They're just battles that I picked out. I did 4 sets in total. I think went 17-3 overall. The 5th and final set where we get to Veteran though is the complete 5 battles in order. We got Articuno and Abomasnow here. It's actually a very nice matchup for Articuno, and you want to go straight Icy in this matchup because it's actually doing the same amount of damage as Ancient Power. They're both the same. I think they're doing 47 damage for 45 if I'm not mistaken, but you get the debuff of course with Icy Wind, so that's definitely the move you want to go for here. Able to farm down, Talonflame comes back in, going to throw the Ancient Power right here. The opponent lets it go through. We get the boost when we don't need it, and you know, they never shield Ancient Power it seems, so very nice. Come back in with the Giratina right here, and I'm going to throw this Dragon Claw. Probably should have tried to CMP tie here just to ensure that we get the shield or the knockout on the Talonflame, but expecting a Brave Bird there, so I do shield. It's Umbreon in the back, so I swap out into Lapras right here, and down a shield. Not a great matchup to be in here, but I do shield up the first Foul Play. Unfortunately, I get to a second one before I get out this Skull Bash, but I'm going to go for the Skull Bash right here. Once again, I believe Surf is more energy efficient. However, increasing that defense is very big. And we're going to go for the Surf right here. And at this point, I think we just go straight Surf. Probably win this game. So Foul Play comes through. We might have to make a switch at some point though into Giratina because obviously Foul Play very spammy. They still have a shield. They actually swap out into Talonflame. And we come in with Giratina. And I think that game... we would have probably still won this matchup anyways, but I think that made it a lot easier for us to get this match under control. So see the Umbreon not going to be able to knock us out with 1 Foul Play here. Very close to a Surf anyways, but we don't need the Surf because Giratina Altered is an Umbreon countered confirmed. Taking that game with the switch timer right now once again. So Carusu 5963 in the next matchup. We got Giratina into a Machamp. Beautiful lead right here. Opponent swaps out into Registeel, and this is one of the worst things you could see because you need the Giratina not only for Registeel but also the Machamp. So what do you do in the situation where the opponent comes in with the Registeel? Well, you're in a really tough spot here. So what I decided to do actually is look to catch a Flash Cannon onto the Lapras. We're loaded on energy on the Giratina, and these Ice Shards plus Surf still do add up against Registeel here. So I like this play. Opponent swaps out into Machamp, but that's going to allow me to at least get to another Surf here, which will apply some shield pressure to Machamp. It's not going to KO, and they let it go through. I think that's the correct play on the opponent's part here. I'm going to come back in with Giratina, throw this Dragon Claw immediately. This probably won't be enough to KO, but they do shield, and if this is a payback, so be it. I'm probably going to let this go. I do. We call the Rock Slide bait, able to get off this Dragon Claw right here. Could have went down there with a lot of energy, but we called the moveset correctly that time. They come in with Umbreon. I'm going to swap out into Articuno. Here comes the Registeel, and I have 2 shields, so we could actually take this game right here. So I'm going to shield up the Flash Cannon, and I'm going to throw the Icy Wind right here. If they don't shield this, I'll actually be able to farm down with Ice Shard. If they do shield, I'll just match shields, and Articuno has a pretty solid match against Umbreon, but we're able to farm down. They didn't shield with this energy lead plus even shields. Winning matchup for Articuno. Opponent doesn't want the smoke. They back out. We take that game. Let's hop into the next battle right here. We got Giratina into Stunfisk. So Stunfisk seems like a problem for this team, but it's also a decent matchup for all 3 Pokemon on this team. So it's not the worst thing you could see. In this particular matchup, I'm going to go for the Shadow Sneak here, and we can't really catch a move unless we know they're going for Earthquake. Then you could catch on Articuno, but it's very risky because they could bait with Rock Slide, which they do here. So in this situation, I think what I'm going to do actually is just take the Earthquake that's coming. As soon as they dump their energy, I'm going to swap out into Lapras. So expecting the Earthquake right here. If it is, they should be drawing energy. Swap out into Lapras immediately. and they're going to swap out into Machamp. So a very hard counter here, of course, for Lapras, but we're ahead on energy. I'm going to throw the Surf right here, and I probably could get to one more Surf here if they don't throw, which they do not do. So second Surf coming through, and the second shield comes from the Machamp. So we're now up 2 shields. I have Giratina, I have Articuno. Definitely don't want to come in with Articuno here, so I do come back in with Giratina, and I'm able to get off this Dragon Claw first. It's not going to knock out the Machamp, and at this point, I'm going to let it go down here, come in with the Articuno, and look to get a nice energy lead. But we'll have to shield at least once. Stunfisk should be dry in energy, so I think it's in one Icy Wind range, and we see a Pelipper in the back. So this is definitely a Premier Cup team, I'd imagine. I'm going to shield out the first move here. It is a Weather Ball. It is more energy efficient than Hurricane, but of course Hurricane would do more damage, but I just wanted to get off the first move. And from this point here, I don't want to throw until I have 2 Icy Winds ready to go, unless they're threatening with Hurricane, which this opponent is not doing. They're just throwing the Weather Balls immediately. So I know I could tank those. I'm going to build up to 2 Icy Winds so that I have one to take out the Pelipper, the other to take out the Stunfisk. The Stunfisk is dry in energy, but I had to throw right here just before getting to the next Icy Wind because Machamp could have farmed us down, which they came in with. Thankfully for us, going for the Icy Wind right here. Is this enough to take out the Stunfisk? No, it's not, but look at this. 1 Ice Shard, able to hold off on the Mud Shot damage. Articuno coming through clutch, taking that game. Cucumber Boy in the next matchup. We got Giratina into a Venusaur. Beautiful lead, absolutely beautiful. And what makes it more beautiful is that we have Articuno in the back as well. So they swap out into Umbreon here. And I believe at this point we'll throw one Dragon Claw and swap out into the Lapras. And because we got that Dragon Claw, this becomes a winnable matchup even in the 2 shields. So Foul Play comes through. I'm going to look to get to the Skull Bash right here. Let this move come through again. And let's see if the opponent wants to shield. And the thing here is that even if I do lose switch advantage, I have 2 dominant answers for the Venusaur. So switch isn't too important in this matchup. All you want to do is maybe get a shield advantage out of this and just control the game. So opponent going to get to, or he's going to let me get to the Surf here, which is going to get either the second shield or switch. They decide to shield. I decide not to match here because I know that my Pokemon could take care of Umbreon right here, and they're forced to throw the Foul Play. Maybe could have farmed this down, but thankfully for us, that means Articuno could come in and farm down completely. The reason I came with Articuno here is because if they swapped in Umbreon into Giratina, I assume they probably have something else in the back that's also strong against Giratina. So I wanted to get a nice energy lead on Articuno here in case they didn't come in with Venusaur for the third Pokemon in the back. So that's why I came in with Articuno here. You can see Sludge Bomb comes through. We're going to tank that. Mandibuzz in the back. This thing can do nothing against Articuno no matter what. Even in the 2 vs 0 shields, has 0 play. Mandibuzz doesn't want the smoke. Backs out of the match. And let's hop in to the next one. So Haggis, McDuke. And we are leading Giratina into a Talonflame. So Talonflame, this is a matchup that a lot of people think is bad for Giratina, but the only way Giratina loses this matchup is if you're shielding the first move and it's a Flame Charge bait. You never want to shield the first move against Talonflame. If they throw Braver, it's not going to KO and they're forced to swap out. As you see right here, doesn't KO. They swap out into Swampert. We come in with the Articuno. It's not a hard counter, but it's a very solid answer. You do not need to shield anything against Swampert. Unless you have like horrible IVs, you win this in all even shields. So Articuno throwing the Swampert throwing the Hydro Cannon right there, able to get to this Icy Wind. This should be enough to take out the Swampert. If they shield, we're gonna match the shield, but they choose not to. Talonflame comes back in. I'm actually trying to build up to Icy Wind and swap out, but we're not able to get there. So maybe I should just swap out immediately, but I decided to let the Articuno go down. I mean, I didn't want to, but it just happened that I didn't reach the move in time, so get taken out. I expect another Brave Bird. I do shield. It's Cresselia in the back. Not an easy matchup here. Giratina extremely low. We're down in shields. Lapras very weak to Giratina in the back. How can we win this? Well, landing that first Shadow Sneak is huge. Opponent tried calling the bait, and now because they're getting so low, we could easily just go for Dragon Claw and force these shields because they're getting too low where they cannot risk it. So go for another Dragon Claw right here. If they let this go through, I'm okay with that, which they do. So they're saving their shield, but what they're going to realize at this point is that they're not going to use that shield because Ice Shard is going to be a straight farm down here. Yes, we have no shields. Grass Knot doesn't KO. They'll probably try and swap here into Talonflame, but I'm not throwing any charge moves anyways, so it really makes no difference. Opponent doesn't want the smoke. We take that game once again. Max 97-12 in the next matchup. And we got Giratina into a Lapras. So one of the worst leads you could see here, and this time I swap out into Lapras and we get met by Escavalier. I think the swap out into Articuno or Lapras is debatable. If you come in with Articuno, obviously it's a losing matchup, but oftentimes if they stay in, it's probably better for you anyways, because it's going to take a very long time. The switch timer will reset, and it's not a horrible matchup. So I came in with Lapras there because a lot of times they don't have an answer for Lapras in the back. Their only answer might be Lapras. Like on my team, for example, the only answer to an opposing Lapras is my own Lapras. So that's what I was hoping for, but it wasn't the case. So they come back in with Lapras here. Of course, we got a lot of nice farm there against the Escavalier, and the Dragon Claw is going to come through right here. And what I realized at this point is that I'm in Ice Beam range, so I definitely shield up, and they go for Surf. And I'm thinking that, you know what, they probably are running Skull Bash maybe if they're not going for any Ice Beams. So here, I know I'll survive a Surf if they don't go for Ice Beam, and they do go for the Surf, so that allows us to get off one more Dragon Claw. I'm going to swap out into the Articuno, and I make a big call here to shield the Surf, which ends up being the mistake in this game because it's a Cresselia in the back. And if I had that shield, we actually would have ended up winning this game because I could win this matchup very comfortably in the even shield 1 versus 1. And they're also running Future Sight. So if they weren't running Future Sight because we had that energy lead, maybe we could have taken this game. But because they have Future Sight plus the shield advantage, this game's done. There's nothing we could do here. In hindsight, because of the situation we're in, I should have just went for Ancient Power from the start because that was the only win condition, getting the boost there to make up for the shield disadvantage. So I should have definitely went for Ancient Power the first time and just fished for the boost, but we didn't do it. We lose that game. Let's hop into the next battle. And we got Giratina into an Ampharos right here. So this is a very positive lead, of course, and you prefer seeing this with the Giratina than with the Articuno lead. Opponent swaps out into Cresselia right here, and the important thing to realize is that we need this Giratina for the Ampharos. So I swap out into Articuno here after doing a lot of damage with the Shadow Claw, and Moonblast comes through. We're going to tank that very well. Going to go for the Icy Wind right here. And at this point, we don't need to use any shields because of that damage we got off with the Giratina here. Moonblast comes through. Gonna go for the Icy Wind right here. Probably won't KO, and they might swap out into Ampharos, which they do. And they'll probably be able to farm us down. I'm hoping to get to a move here and swap out, but again, not able to do it. So second time in this video where I get farmed down trying to bank the move. But thankfully for us, it does not look like this Ampharos is running Dragon Pulse. So if it's not running Dragon Pulse, very, very dominant matchup for Giratina. We could basically just farm this thing down completely, leave with 100 energy. Yes, we might be low in HP, but we're going to be loaded and with enough HP to still do damage. So Thunder Punch coming through, not shielded. We both still have 2 shields. Opponent basically has 1 Pokemon, and it's a Togekiss in the back. So throwing 1 Shadow Sneak here, swapping out into Lapras. And at this point, you can pretty much just go 2 Surfs and take this game, but I'm going for the Skull Bash because I am not playing the correct way. Opponent lets it go through because they know the game's over. They're going to back out, but the correct way to play is just go back-to-back Surf because they only have 1 shield. But I decided to go Skull Bash. Even going Skull Bash, you're going to win anyways unless they get like an Ancient Power boost. So you definitely, if you want to be safe, just go straight Surf. But we get a horrible lead here, so I swap out into Lapras. And the opponent comes in with Mandibuzz. So at this point, there's 2 things. Either 1, it's a misclick on the opponent's side, or 2, they really do not have any answer for Lapras. But if that's the case, they would have honestly just been better staying in with the Ninetales than to have brought in the Mandibuzz here. Ninetales could lose to Lapras, of course, but this is a very dominant position. We're actually able to farm down completely. We're at another Skull Bash here, so I'm going to throw this right at the Ninetales. We're getting pretty beefy right there in terms of the defense, so these charms aren't doing anywhere near as much, and that's going to force the shield from the Ninetales right here. But what I'm realizing at this point is that if the opponent came in with Mandibuzz, they must be extremely weak to Ice in the back. So I'm going to come in with Giratina, assuming that their 3rd Pokemon actually has a very good matchup against Giratina and is very weak to Ice, considering the response to the safe switch. but it happens to be a Jellicent in the back. So the only thing I could think of at this point is that the opponent made a misclick, meant to come in with Jellicent against our Lapras, but clicked on the Mandibuzz by accident, because Articuno does not have a good matchup here. And I would have much rather have saved my Giratina for the Jellicent had I known that. So I decided to use both shields here, swap out into the Articuno, and the Jellicent's going to throw the Shadow Ball right here. Now at this point, the opponent comes in with the Ninetales. They're loaded on energy, so I actually don't want to get too greedy here. So I'm just going to overfarm a little bit and throw the Icy Wind. Not 100% sure on the energy on this Ninetales. I just want to get rid of it. Jellicent comes back in, going for the Ancient Power here. Probably should have just went for Icy Wind, to be honest. They do about the same damage, and we would have got the attack drop, but we do get the CMP tie here, and Giratina, one Shadow Claw, able to take that game. Very difficult lead there. Definitely benefited from the opponent making an error in the safe switch, but we take those, take the game, off to a 1-0 start in this final set, I should say, not fifth. But Giratina into Swampert here. So once again, we've seen this match before. What you want to do is catch the Earthquake, but the opponent swaps out instead, probably trying to catch the Dragon Claw onto the Cresselia. We throw the Shadow Sneak right here, and I got a little bit greedy here, trying to get back to back before the Moonblast came through, so I have to eat a Moonblast here. Gonna throw this chip damage right here and then swap out into my Articuno. And at this point, of course, the Cresselia low enough to the point where we don't need to invest any shields, and I'm hoping to exit this matchup with some energy left over for the Swampert. But the thing is, because our switch times are desynced, they might swap out immediately, which they do. So probably going to shield up here. No, I'm gonna let the first one go through. I'll probably shield up at one point, yeah, because they're gonna get to two, so I have to shield up one of them. If not the first, we shield up the second, get to this Icy Wind right here, and of course we have great answers for Swampert in the back anyways, so the opponent does shield there. I'm okay with that. Tried to swap out to catch the Hydro Cannon onto the Giratina, failed at that. So at this point I come in with Lapras instead, and I'm going to go for the Surf here. Of course Hydro Cannon isn't really going to be threatening us, so they have to build up for the Earthquake, which means I know I can get to the Surf first. They actually go for the second shield, come back in with Cresselia. That gives us free farm. Swampert comes back in, probably an Earthquake here, so I'm going to shield. Even if it's a Hydro Cannon, the Surf will KO, so very important to just shield up the heavy hitting move. Trying to undercharge here, but that Swampert takes a lot of damage. Clefable in the back, a little bit of lag right there, and I'm actually going to go for Skull Bash here, just in case we CMP tie on the second Surf. I wanted to get up as much damage as possible on the first move, and of course it doesn't look like it was going to be a CMP tie, but I wanted to be safe here. I know Giratina could handle Clefable from this range. Giratina is a Charm counter confirmed. Let's hop into the next battle. We got Calitan, and we got Articuno into Charizard. So notice I went in with the wrong team. So my main team is set as Articuno lead, so I have to swipe. Forgot to swipe in this battle, and we get a pretty bad lead here for Articuno. I go for the Ancient Power, they let it go through, and we get the boost. So that means the party is on. We're going to shield up. We call it the Blast Burn 2, which is huge. Able to farm down, and it's a Machamp. So another very hard counter for Articuno in the back. But we're going Icy Wind. They're shielding up, and I'm not sure they build up to Rock Slide, to be honest. So I let this go through. Even if it's Rock Slide, I didn't care. I have Giratina in the back, but they go for the Cross Chop bait. So going for another Icy Wind right here, and the opponent shields once again. At this point, I'm assuming they're probably very weak to Articuno or something in the back. I don't know what is going on, but they bait again, and you know what that means. Boosted Articuno, going for the straight sweep right here, taking out the Machamp. Cresselia comes in, and you know what? I don't want the Articuno to go down yet. It has to get off moves against every single Pokemon. We're going to throw an Icy Wind right here. Look at how much this boosted Icy Wind does. Boom! Quite a lot. Giratina comes in. Opponent doesn't want the smoke. They've had enough of the boost. They back out. Let's hop in to the next battle. Triconazole in the next matchup. I believe this is the fifth and final battle of the set, as well as the video. Giratina mirror match. What I want to do here is catch the Dragon Claw onto Lapras. Opponent doesn't throw. They come in with Empoleon. And the important thing to note right here, when it's a Giratina lead and you see Empoleon come in the back, it's almost always a Togekiss. So at this point, I realized the importance of my Articuno for this matchup, because it's most likely going to come down to a sweep from Articuno. So Hydro Cannon comes through. I'm going to go for another Skull Bash, which is either going to knock out the Empoleon, crazy I know, in the 0 shields, or we're going to get a shield. I'll take the shield. Coming with Giratina. Were they throwing Drill Peck? I'm not sure. I think they were going Hydro Cannon, but I threw the Shadow Sneak there because I wasn't 100% sure if they had Blizzard or not. And they come to Togekiss. I'm going to come for Articuno. We have a shield advantage. They're going to use a shield here 100%. Now, remember, their Giratina's lower on energy, so I have to shield here. Pray they don't get the boost, which they don't. They swap out. You can see they stalled a bit before switching just to make sure they didn't get the boost. Giratina comes in. Abel's got this Icy Wind before the next Dragon Claw comes through, which is huge for us. And at this point right here, because we got that Icy Wind off, we should be able to farm down from this range, which should give us enough energy for an Icy Wind, which will be enough to take out the Togekiss. Articuno sweep in the back. 2 solid games there from the MVP. You see that lag right there? I swear, if I got farmed down there from that lag, I would have been cheesed. But Giratina probably could have ended off this game anyways with that health advantage. We take the game, 5-0 set, and we hit Veteran rank with double ice. It still works in Go Battle League. So those were the battles with the double ice strategy. This time the Giratina lead, ABB. I do like adjusting my teams based on what I'm seeing in the meta. It seemed like Giratina was a solid pick for the leads I was seeing, so I decided to put it in the lead as opposed to Articuno. The ABA line also still works. I've been using both of them. Of course, I haven't been doing many battles this season, just about 200 so far, so a little bit slow, but it's a long season once again. Taking my time with this season, and I recommend you guys go at your own pace as well. If you guys have any questions regarding this team, leave them in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.